Kamran Matin is a senior lecturer in international relations at the University of Sussex in the United Kingdom. He joins us now. Kamran, as we just heard in that report, Iranian people are bracing for more economic pain. Are sanctions the most effective way to pressure the government?
Good evening, Rebecca. Thanks for having me on. The truth is that the sanctions have been on Iran for quite a long time, on and off, since the discovery of Iran's nuclear program back in 2003. So the burden of the sanctions have largely fallen on ordinary people. The government and its allies within state institutions, they have been receiving government aid, state subsidies, and so on, and especially IRGC and other security and military organizations have used the sanctions to create a sort of a shadow economy from which they themselves, and especially the commanders, have benefited. Prior to these sanctions, the United States sanctions, unilateral sanctions following the withdrawal of the United States from the nuclear deal signed in 2015, and especially its secondary sanctions, which would punish any country dealing with Iran, which also had trade relations with the US, had already caused a massive impact on the Iranian economy and the welfare of the ordinary people. With the UN sanctions back, many more countries are bound legally to observe those sanctions, and this is likely to worsen the economic situations. On the other hand, as we saw in the package, many Iranians believe that the nuclear program, which produces close to zero energy or has any significant impact on Iran's or Iranians' livelihood, is a burden which has caused all these sanctions and confrontation with the West, including the war with Israel. So the nuclear program is increasingly an unpopular project, which is causing all this damage to Iranians, and people want to have a say on its continuation.
Meanwhile, hardliners in Iran condemned the nuclear deal and engagement with the West. Do you expect that those hardliners will have more of a say in the government now?
Clearly, there is two camps within the establishment, as always has been the case within the Iranian political system. So the so-called hardliners believe that Iran has to leave NPT and go towards formal weaponization of its nuclear program, even testing a nuclear weapon that would be the guarantee against any future attacks by either Israel or United States or both of them. On the other hand, there are others within the establishment, the reformist camp, which actually control none of the key institutions in the state. They believe in concessions and talks with the West, in the hope that Trump's presidency will be over and somehow they will have another chance with the next administration to reach a deal. But at the moment, because of Supreme Leader's position against the talks with the United States, clearly the hardliners have the upper hand in the Iranian government.
But the Iranian regime maintains it will never seek to build a nuclear bomb. Do you believe that?
I find it difficult to believe, and many Iranians also do so, because Iran has had enrichment of 20%, 60%, on occasions even 80%, and those level of enrichment are not consistent with a civilian program. The problem lies in the fact that Iran claims that its nuclear project is civilian, and yet it gives pretext to its adversaries, including Israel in particular, by enriching to those levels to actually use it against Iran. And as I mentioned earlier, the consequences are largely for Iranians. So from the beginning, there has been this contradiction in the way in which Iran has used higher level of enrichment as a bargaining chip with the Europeans and the Westerners, but the other side has seen that as a sign that the program is not entirely civilian.
Kamran Matin from the University of Sussex, thanks very much for your analysis.
Thank you.